Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of My Favorite Builds. Today we're going to be looking at a very expensive build, and I will make no illusions against this, okay? This is a very expensive build, and if you want to build it, you can, but you don't have to. This is a pure spear-based build that is based on lightning. Called GGM Electron. It's something that I actually theory crafted. If you want to check out my theory craft on this particular build, you can check that out. It is, I'm sure, still up there on YouTube. But this is going over the build itself, how it worked out, and how I eventually kind of settled on my equipment. So first off, let's talk about the character equipment. Then let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? Which is Infinity. Infinity is, without a doubt, the best best in slot item for this build. There are other ways that you could potentially build this character, but there is definitely nothing better than the Infinity. The Infinity for this build is perfect. Not only does it give you a 50% chance to cast level 20 Chain Lightning every single time you kill an enemy, a level 12 Conviction Aura, which reduces the resistances of all the monsters around you whenever they're in range, and also takes away their defense as well, giving you +3 to javelin skills if you make it in a mat spear, which is the faster base. I do recommend the faster base because you want to attack quicker. 35% faster run walk, which is amazing. 295% enhanced damage, which means it doesn't have that bad physical damage either, which is kind of surprising. Negative 52% enemy lightning resistance, which does vary slightly, which is massive, by the way. 40% crushing blow, which is insane. Prevent monster heal, vitality based on character level, magic find, and even some cyclone armor charges if you want to utilize those, which is actually not bad. This item on its own is literally the basis for what makes the spears on, the lightning spears on. Also, Griffin's Eye Diadem is best in slot for this particular build with a lightning facet in it. And as you can see, mine is a 1915 with a facet, which means it's not quite as good as it otherwise should be. However, between the Griffin's Eye Diadem and the Infinity, you were already looking at a negative resistance for lightning of, where's my negative res? 71% negative lightning resistance, which is freaking amazing. So you're already there. On top of this, you're going to be utilizing a Lightning Sunder, which my character seems to be missing at this particular moment, because I probably stole it from her. Oh, I know exactly who I stole it from. I stole it. I literally was playing my doing the video for the Godzilla, and on the video for the Godzilla, I wanted to check out and see what my Godzilla would be like if he had a Lightning Sunder. And I was like, I know who has a Lightning Sunder. Oh yeah, GGM Electron has a Lightning Sunder, and I steal things. And some of you may get on my case about making really expensive builds, but let me point this out really quickly. When I use things like Chains of Honor, when I use things like Infinity, when I use things that are highly expensive, do you really think I have more than one of those? Because I don't. Like, the majority of the time, I only have one. And I share them between all the characters. And the reason why you do this is because, well, they're freaking expensive. And nobody's making like 16 Infinities. Nobody's making like freaking 16, like Chains of Honor. You make one Chains of Honor in a good base, and then you swap it between all your characters. That's how you do it. You get one decent Annie, and you swap it between all your characters. Now, as time has gone on, I've started to accumulate, more stuff from ladder resets. But for the most part, a lot of my stuff is just shared between characters. I'm also using Chains of Honor, which the reason why you kind of have to use Chains of Honor on this character is really because of the crappy resistances. As you can see, without the 65 all res from the Chains of Honor, I'm sitting at some pretty awful res numbers. And it's really just due to the fact that I don't have a shield. Any class, any character that doesn't have a shield generally ends up in a situation where they need massive amounts of resistances from something other than a shield because they obviously don't get access to a shield. And Chains of Honor just happens to be one of those crazy armors that just has massive resistances. It's +2 skills, and it's massive resistances. It's got life leech, it's got demon damage, undead damage, it's got other things on it, even a little bit of magic find and physical damage reduction. And it's just a pretty decent plate all around. On top of this, we're also utilizing a +2 passive and magic skill amulet with all res, faster run walk. It's probably not the best amulet that we can have here. In fact, I don't even know why that amulet is on this character. We probably were using Mara's. I would wager a bet that we were using Mara's and I stole it for another character. +2 Amazon with attack rating and life. I probably have something decent laying in here, to be perfectly honest. This is my non-ladder stash. Of course, I also have the other ladder stash in here. Is there anything good in here? Let's see. Crescent Moon. Oh, there's a +1 Amazon with all res. Steve Dan. Yeah, +2 Sorceress. It's an Eye of Etlich. A Burberdin. He's got so many doojanks in here. Is this torch better than mine? I got a 1714. This is a 2014. Oh yeah, that's way better. Let's steal that for our Electron character. Oh, dang it. Did I grab the wrong one? I grabbed the Pally one. That's not what I meant to do. Dang it. Give me the Amazon one. Wait. Amazon one is a 1511. Oh, I was looking at the Barbarian one. The one I had was better. Give mine back. Give me that back. Give me that jack back. Anyway, a +2 amulet would probably be best here with all res. Let's take this +1 Amazon one and throw that there for right now. Certainly won't hurt anything. And for boots, I ended up going with alders, and I think it had to do with the fact that I was running out of fire resistance on everything. Of course, I think, a good amulet could probably fix that. You could utilize a bunch of different things as opposed to those. It looks like to me, I'm playing around with that amulet real quick, and you know why I think I was using that? Look at my lightning resistance, 9%. 29%. So I was using it to shore up some resistances apparently at some point. Whatever. I also have Ravenfrost for the attack rating because I do like to hit things, and also the Cannot Be Frozen. T-Gods, so I get the +3 Lightning Fury and +3 Lightning Strike, mainly the Lightning Strike. Also, we're utilizing a Bullcathos Wedding Band for more +2 skills, and then the +3 Jav skills with 20% increased attack speed gloves, so we get as many +2 skills as we can. For our Mercenary, we're utilizing an Insight Merc with a Duress and a Vampire Gaze. Vampire Gaze could be replaced with Bulwark at this point, although they're both basically about the same anyway. He is a Defiance Mercenary, and I went with Defiance because my defense is just so low. I didn't really need the Might, and I didn't really need the Holy Freeze, and I didn't really need the Blessed Aim, and I think it just ended up being like I just grabbed the one that was the most useful to me, and I probably could go with something else. There's a lot of different options, but I did find that I chunk mana like crazy on this particular character, so do keep that in mind. As for skills, you're going to put 1 point in Jab, 20 points into Power Strike, 20 points into Charge Strike, 20 points into Lightning Strike, and 20 points into Lightning Bolt that are all synergies with Lightning Strike and Charge Strike, which are going to be our two main abilities. I also grabbed 1 point in Fend and Impale just so that I would have them in case I wanted to use them for, specific purposes, whatever. And I only have Lightning Fury because it's granted by a skill. I don't actually put any points into that. Passive and Magic, 1 point in Inner Sight, 1 point in Slow Missile. I also put 1 point in Decoy and 4 points into Valkyrie. I think I'm missing the +2 skills I need here to get this one to 17 as well, just like on my other Amazon. But 17 is usually the target. It changes depending on how many +2 skills you have, though, so you kind of have to wait until you get your final equipment before you figure that out. I also have 1 point in each one of the dodges. I didn't end up going higher than that. And then also 1 point in crit and 1 point in penetrate because, why not? No points in the bow skills. Now, this particular character is kind of insane in the amount of damage that she can put out. Her single target damage is absolutely off the wall insane. If I want to attack a particular target with Charge Strike, it just absolutely annihilates them from existence. On top of this, ever since they fixed the next hit delay problems of Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike now has absolutely redonkulous damage. That's just one Lightning Strike, by the way. If I walk up to a pack of monsters now and I just hold down the Lightning Strike button, Lightning Strike will just bounce around the map, literally just murdering everything. It's absolutely insanity. The amount of damage that this character can put out is just kind of nuts. Not only does she have the ability to dish out massive amounts of AoE damage in the form of Lightning Strike, but she can hit a target like a freaking Mack truck with her Charged Strike ability. It's kind of hard to explain, especially in P1, just how dramatically crazy it is, the amount of damage that she can put out with Charge Strike. But for the most part, she can pretty much one-shot most monsters with Charge Strike. And even the monsters that she can't one-shot, it's like 1 or 2 shots. There's really not a lot of stuff that she can't deal with. The Conviction Aura reduces the resistances of all the monsters. The Lightning Thunder breaks the immunities in advance. The freaking negative resistance that she has means that most monsters are sitting in the negative or even higher, or even lower. Like, they're not just sitting like at like -2 or something like that. They'll actually be pretty low in the negative numbers by the time everything is done. At -71%, plus the Conviction Aura, plus the Sunder, the monsters get immediately dropped down to 95, even if they are immune. Then they are dropped from 95 to... I'm trying to remember exactly what Conviction gives in this one. I think it's like... I know it's level 12. But level 12 Conviction gives a specific amount, and I think it's reduced, of course, for immunes. It's reduced down to 1/5 effectiveness, which is 20%. And let's look up Conviction Aura real quick. So we are sitting at level 12, which is 85%, which is reduced to 20% effectiveness, right? So we take a calculator, we go 85 minus 80% gives us our 1/5 effectiveness of 17, right? So if we have a monster that's reduced down to 95, minus 71, minus 17, even an immune monster is going to be sitting at 7 lightning res. A non-immune monster, one that might be sitting at, say, like 75% lightning resistance, is going to go -71, and then they're also going to go -85, which is going to bring them down to -81%, which means they're basically going to be taking almost double damage if they're not already immune to lightning, which is kind of nuts. Now, the only problem with Conviction is that it does have to apply to the target before that negative res hits them. So a lot of the times when you fire off your Lightning Strike and your Lightning Strike just starts going off the screen, which is actually pretty common with this particular ability, you're going to notice that the Lightning Strike is going to start hitting things before the Conviction Aura ever gets to it, which is, yeah. Thankfully, though, it doesn't even really matter. Even without the Conviction Aura, the monsters are still well within a killable level, just simply by your lightning damage itself. And as you can see, the character just kind of like waltzes through the game with this equipment. Really doesn't have much trouble with anything that she comes across. Every single resistance is broken, and even Diablo. Let's get to Diablo real quick, because I want you guys to see how quickly Diablo dies on this character. Let's just use our Lightning Strike. Not even going to use Charge Strike. Let's just let the Lightning Strike bounce around and just have fun watching it murder everything on the screen. Lightning Strike, by the way, has 38 hits at this particular level, so it just continues to bounce over and over again until it either runs out of targets or it kind of like steps on its own toes. And what I mean by steps on its own toes is it's not allowed to hit the same enemy twice within a certain period of time. So if there's not enough monsters there, what ends up happening is it gets stuck in like a little bit of a loop. A totemic mask. Ethereal totemic mask. And it can't progress because there's no additional monster to hit. It's just one of the quirks of the ability. But as long as you have a large number of monsters to hit, like for instance in the Infector of Souls pack, it'll keep bouncing in the Infector of Souls pack repeatedly until they're all dead. Alright, so let's kill Diablo real quick. Not exactly a particularly difficult target with Charge Strike, but I just kind of want you to see how absolutely silly it is when you fight Diablo. I'll even let him stay alive for like a half a second before I murder him. Did I miss a seal? I must have missed a seal. We got this one. We got this one. I know we killed Lord Decease. I'm pretty sure we hit both the seals up here. Maybe Grand Visor of Chaos was hiding behind the panel. Happens sometimes. I see one of his minions. Oh no, we missed a seal. Good. Yeah. Hey, I got amp damage on me. Maybe Diablo will have a chance of killing me. No, he won't. No, he won't. Not unless I stand here and let him hit me. And there's Diablo, and 1 hit. 2 hits. Poor Diablo. And that's how it kind of goes a lot of the times with this particular character. So now that we've gone through the practical stuff, let's talk about the non-practical stuff, which is kind of like calculating out the amount of damage that she can potentially do. So first off, let's take a look at Charge Strike. Charge Strike has a release of 9 charge bolts, which means that if all the charge bolts hit a target, you can potentially do a massive amount of damage with this character. And we're going to need a calculator for this. So let's pull up a calculator and let's actually run this out. So it's 1 to 7,285 damage, right? So 1 plus 7,285 equals 7,286 divided by 2, which gives us an average damage of 3,643 per bolt. We have 9 bolts, so multiply that by 9. Which means that we have a damage of 32,787 per attack. However, we also have conviction and negative 71% resistance, which means that the monster, as we calculated out earlier, is at negative 81% to their resistance, which means they take an additional 81% damage, which means we are looking at 59,344.47 per attack, right? But then the other problem is how fast do we attack? So if we run this on an IAS calculator, we could figure out really quickly how fast we attack and what our maximum number of attacks is, right? So we could throw on Amazon, Matt Pike, or Matt Spear, right? We're utilizing, how much IAS do we have on this character? We have 20% on the gloves, and that is it, right? So we are using 20% IAS in the form of not weapon IAS, but non-weapon IAS. And we are using... it doesn't have the skill on here, does it? I guess it counts as a standard attack. So we have 1.92 attacks per second. We could definitely go faster than this, obviously. So 1.92 attacks per second, so times 1.92, which means we are dishing out roughly 113,914 damage per strike, per second, basically, which is kind of ridiculously massive. And as you can clearly see by how quickly I killed Diablo, it's nuts. Lightning Strike, on the other hand, has a maximum number of hits of 38, which is kind of insane. And you can dish out, obviously, almost 2 of those per second, and you can just stack them over and over again within a group of monsters, which means you have 6,598 damage just bouncing around all over the place, and you have multiple of these effects bouncing 38 times total within a big group of monsters. Like, for instance, if you were to do cows or something like that, you fire off a couple lightning strikes, and pretty much everything in the cow level dies with relative ease. And that kind of damage is also something that you really can't calculate directly from the ability, because it is a density clear tool, which means that the more monsters you have, the more damage it does. And let's go somewhere that has lots of monsters, like Canyon of the Magi. This place is usually crowded with monsters. And let's see if we can find a relatively big pack. Here we go. So here's a big pack of monsters, right? Lightning Strike, Lightning Strike, Lightning Strike, Lightning Strike, Lightning Strike, Lightning Strike, Lightning Strike. Everything's dead. because the lightning strikes just keep bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and they hit every single monster relatively quickly by bouncing back and forth between all the monsters until there's no monsters left. And once all the monsters are gone, well, then they're gone. Lightning Strike doesn't work very well on single targets or small groups, though, because in general it needs quite a few monsters to bounce between. The more monsters that it has to bounce between, the better. So in small groups, you're always going to be using Charge Strike, and in bigger groups, you're always going to be using Lightning Strike, just simply because they are better in their own way. Charge Strike is never going to do more damage than Lightning Strike in a big group of monsters like that, because as soon as you have one of those ridiculously big groups of monsters, like, say, this, for instance, and you tap your Lightning Strike within it, even if it's just one Lightning Strike, it will just travel around the entire map, killing everything. And, of course, the cool thing is you don't have to rely on just one Lightning Strike anymore like you did before. Now you can apply multiple Lightning Strikes and let it run its course throughout the entire group of monsters. Another interesting thing about Lightning Strike is that it doesn't have a max range. So it's kind of hard to say this because it does have a max range, but it doesn't have a max range. So let's say, for instance, that I fire off a Lightning Strike and it travels from the monster that's standing right next to me to that urn, right? Well, when it gets to the urn, it now has a new radius from the urn, and it can now travel within the radius of the urn. And if it travels to another monster that's over here, it then has another jump, and now it can travel to any monster within the radius of this monster. And let's say it travels to a monster over here, then it can travel to any monster within a radius of this monster. And so in this way, depending on how Lightning Strike jumps, you can actually have it go ridiculously far from the original firing location by jumping in between each monster repeatedly until it eventually reaches a monster that was nowhere near the initial start location. Like this guy over here got hit by Lightning Strike, and he wasn't even anywhere near me over here when I originally hit the button. 4-socket, 473 bow wave. In general, though, when it comes to this character, just absolutely insane as far as damage is concerned, but also absolutely insane as far as equipment. Making a pure spears-on character is kind of nuts. As I said in the beginning of this video, I wasn't going to leave any allusions to the fact that they're just really expensive. But let's talk about really quickly how you could make it cheaper. Well, first off, you would still need the Lightning Thunder. You would still need some lightning negative resistance of some type. Now, Crescent Moon is out because it's a sword, which pretty much just leaves you with Griffins. Griffins and maybe like a plate or something like that that's socketed. You don't necessarily have to use a two-handed weapon. You could utilize something like Titans and a socketed lightning faceted shield or something of that nature, and just use it in melee form. The reason why you use a two-handed weapon with Affinity is because really you don't have any other choice. All the spears are two-handed, so you have to be a two-handed warrior with that. But if you were to go with something other than Infinity, you could potentially still make the character, and it would still be pretty strong without Infinity. The main problem is you would be missing the massive amount of negative lightning resistance, which means that most of the monsters in the game would not be breakable. As far as groups go, though, if you make this character, they're going to absolutely love you, because number one, you're going to kill everything really fast. Number two, you're going to apply conviction to everything so that they can kill everything really fast. You also have that massive 40% crushing blow and the prevent monster heal, which means that you can kill most monsters with relative ease, even if the lightning isn't effective versus them for some reason. All in all, the character is super expensive. I love it, though. It is just absolutely insane. And if you want to build a character that can literally just walk through this game and do literally everything in this game, from Ubers to, frickin' Uber Tristram to Uber Diablo to Pandemonium Diablo and everything in between, I mean, this is the character that can do it. There's literally nothing in this game that this character has trouble with. Gloams, she don't care. Like Ubers, she doesn't care. She waltzes right through the Ubers. The amount of damage that she can put out in a single target allows her to absolutely annihilate just about any single monster from the field of existence. And I have tested her versus even like a P8 Uber Diablo, and she literally just demolishes him. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just talking about GGM Electron, the lightning spears on. And as always, keep watching.